Let's return now to our top story this hour. The ceasefire deadline in Syria is fast approaching and the government and the opposition have pledged to lay down arms. But as RT's Lizzie Phelan reports, there are areas where hostilities are unlikely to stop.
For years now, Aleppo has been a divided city, split between east and west, between the Syrian army and a constantly changing array of anti-government militias. These divisions have sucked the city dry of all basic necessities. This woman shouts from her balcony that she needs water and electricity. In the streets below, residents here in the predominantly Christian neighbourhood of Salamaniya fill up containers from an underground well and lug them back to their homes. On top of these shortages, thousands live in the line of fire on Aleppo's countless front lines.
The people living in this neighbourhood, the Maysalun area of Aleppo, tell us this building here was basically completely levelled by hell cannons fired by opposition militants just living over that way on the other side of the front line. They tell us that the whole family living in this building was killed when it was attacked.
Round yet another corner, we find another front line.
We can't really stop and film for too long because there's snipers everywhere. The soldiers are just checking that this building is safe from snipers before we can begin filming out the window. Because out the window, I wanted to show the hospital building just across. Of course, it's not functioning anymore. It's been completely destroyed.
And another front line.
This church, which was built in 1908, has been attacked several times. The roof is completely falling apart. It's a complete wasteland from the fighting, with rocket shells scattered amongst the pews where people used to pray.
After midnight on Friday, when the US-Russian brokered ceasefire comes into effect, there's little chance that the exchange of fire will stop across Aleppo's barricades. The army insists that Al-Qaeda's branch in Syria, Jabhat al-Nusra, and ISIS maintain a presence everywhere in opposition-held parts of the city. Both groups are excluded from the agreement.
ISIL and Jabhat al-Nusra are everywhere here.
In some areas, there may be a ceasefire, but in most of Aleppo and surrounding countryside, it's al-Nusra and ISIL, and we won't stop fighting until we get rid of them.
And sure enough, from a vantage point in the neighbourhood of Sayyid al-Ali, we could clearly see al-Nusra's presence alongside groups like the Islamic Front, which is included in the ceasefire.
From government-held territory, we can actually look into the opposition-held area of Aleppo in Hamidiyya. Flying here is the flag of Jabhat al-Nusra.
With little prospect of weapons being laid down to heal the divide here, instead, the army offensive rages in the countryside as inch by inch they claw back territory from ISIS and move ever closer to encircling and forcing the surrender of their opponents in the heart of the city. Lizzie Phelan, RT, Aleppo.